Can I do my introduction first? Is that all right?
Yeah, by all means.
Do I have to say hi? I'm Adam Phillips. I'm a psychoanalyst in private practice in London and a writer. I certainly never met a psychoanalyst. I didn't know anything about psychoanalysis. And when I was about 17, I was at school and I came across Jung's autobiography, Memories, Dreams, Reflections. And I read it and I thought, God, this is amazing life. As in, I thought it was full of adventure. Then when I was at university, Winnicott's Playing in Reality came out and I read that book and I thought, this book was written for me. It was so vivid and I thought, I completely understand this book. I can't imagine what I thought, but I thought, this is it. And then I knew I was going to be a child psychotherapist. If I was forced, as I'm being forced by you at this moment, to recommend like a reading list of literature for prospective psychotherapists, it would really be my preferred reading list, and it is. Wallace Stevens' collected poems, William James's Pragmatism, Wittgenstein's Philosophical Investigations. There'd be lots of William Carlos Williams, Marianne Moore, actually mostly Americans when it comes to poetry, although Edward Thomas, I could go on for ages about this. Of course, the books would only be interesting if people are interested in them. But I would certainly have E.M. Forster's Howard's End. I think everybody should read Moby Dick, everybody should read Walden, everybody should read Emerson's essays, everybody should read all of Shakespeare, but I mean, how boring for people who aren't interested in Shakespeare. So it's very tricky, this. But I think I would say, here's my reading list, try it, and if something bores you, don't bother with it. But just try things out, and if something gets to you, go for it. Follow your curiosity and your pleasure, not what you think would be good for you to read. What kind of person do you want to be? It's that way round. So I think that there should be a diversity of criteria, and I think people should be having arguments all the time and conversations about what they think is good psychoanalysis, and what they think psychoanalysis is, so that it goes on being discussed. What I don't want is a world in which people are telling us what psychoanalysis is, because that's no more interesting to me than somebody telling me what people are or dogs are. It seems to me that psychoanalysis is part of a larger cultural conversation about who we want to be, who we are, what's possible, etc. So it seems to me it's misleading as a specialization. I think the science arts thing is a bit factitious, a bit invented, and a bit to do with temperament and sensibility. So I don't mind, in fact I think it's rather good. There are people who want psychoanalysis to be scientific. I'm just not one of them. And I just think there can be lots of different ways of looking at this that are more or less interesting depending on one's own preferences and so on. So I wouldn't say psychoanalysis is an art. It can be whatever people want to make it into, but it's just my preference and sensibility in history that puts it that side of the line. So for me, the best training to be a psychoanalyst is to read history, politics, literature, or philosophy. But I could imagine somebody saying, one should read biology. I think what you can do is, this is psychoanalysis, you can show people their resistances to doing these things. In other words, you can describe to people how they refuse their own pleasures and possibilities. And I think that's really powerful. I don't know why anybody's interested in evidence at all. I'm not impressed by this thought, but I just find all the evidence outcome stuff is for me just against the grain. It doesn't mean it's irrelevant whether it works, but I think the criteria for what it is for it to work are very singular and individual. And I think that we need as broad a range as possible, maybe each individual's description of what it is for it to work or not work. If you try and hurry people, then what happens is they have to invent a false self to managing your hurrying self. So then there's a kind of complicity in which either patient will agree with you, the doctor, that I really need to get better in this way and in this time, and it will be more of the problem. I assume, and this is partly romantic and I think partly true, that people can only develop in their own way and in their own time. And what people are looking for is a kind of facilitating environment, relationships in which they are allowed both to be and to experiment with being, as opposed to being told who they should be. Very, very hard, this very idealistic, and therefore very good. But I think that we, our profession, should represent a milieu in which people can do what John Stuart Mill calls experiments in living. They can try out versions themselves, which are not infinite, but nobody knows anybody's potential. We never know what people are capable of, obviously including ourselves, and we need to just keep awake to that without being excessively demanding of what we think they should be doing or are able to do.